times more often.
Yeah, it all depends on how fast you sell it.
You've told the U.S. Attorney that you had a very limited work history, correct?
Yes.
Were you collecting anything by way of state or federal assistance?
What you mean?
Money, checks, welfare?
When I was working?
No.
When I wasn't working?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So your whole sole means of support was selling drugs?
Yes.
And that was your sole means of support from the time you weren't working till your arrest in or about May or June of 2009, correct?
Yes.
And you sold dope drugs every day?
Yes.
Okay. And your work ethic in terms of selling drugs was one that where you would be out on the street early by about 8 a.m.
Yes.
and that you would be there all day during the week, and that you would stop selling during the week at around midnight.
Yes. It all depends on how long I stay out there. Sometimes it's midnight. Sometimes I might leave at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It all depends on when I want to leave.
You told the government that you told the prosecutors that you were out there until about midnight every night.
Not every night.
During the week. No?
No, not every night. I ain't telling them every night.
All right. But that on the weekend, that during the weekend you would sell in the afternoon and then go to the bar.
Yeah.
So you work 7 days a week, right?
Yes.
During the weekdays from 8 a.m. give or take, right? You were the first guy out there on the street, right?
Yeah.
There weren't any shifts, right?
No. No.
There wasn't anybody who worked 8 to 4, 12 to 4.
No.
It was whoever wanted to go out there and sell, went out there and sold, correct?
Yeah, you just sit out there as long as you want.
Right. And nobody had any preset schedule as to who could sell what, when, and where,
No.
or how much. And no, right?
Yeah.
Now, you talked about York, remember?
Yes.
Is that a short name for New York?
Yes.
Do you know his real name?
Corey Husband.
Do you also know that he is a defendant in this case?
Yes.
You read about him in the discovery and in the indictment, correct?
Yes.
And he was someone who, help me here. Was he from outside the gardens?
Nah, he was from the Gardens.
He was from the gardens?
Yes.
But he, according to you, when you were present, brought on some occasions, multiple kilos, multiple bricks of cocaine to Eddie Lee Walker.
Yes.
What year was that, or years?
I don't remember what years. Like,
Do you remember where he brought them?
what you mean where he bought them to? Where he bought them to? To King Street.
Every time.
Yes.
How frequently?
I can't say how frequently, but it was a couple times that
Well,
I was
you said
around
up
there.
to 5 times, I think.
Yeah, that I was around there.
Well, a couple or 5?
5 times, like 5
times.
times. Like 5 times when I was around there.
About 5 times when you were there.
Yes.
And you don't remember the year
No.
or years.
No.
You remember what cocaine was being sold for between those two, or do you know what cocaine was being sold for under what you're telling us per kilo back then?
How much was the kilo?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know what a kilo was going for back then?
No.
Do you know that it cost a lot of money?
Yeah, I know it costs a lot of money.
So if there was multiple kilos, 3, 4, or 5 on 2, 3, 4, or 5 occasions, there theoretically would be a lot of money changing hands.
Yes.
You're told about the money, you're told about the kilos arriving, correct?
Yes.
How was it paid for?
I guess he paid for it.
You guess he paid for it.
Yeah.
You never saw, did you, sir, under oath today, any money change hands from Eddie Lee Walker to Corey Husband in 2722 King Street for kilos of cocaine, did you?
Like one time.
You stick.
Yes, like once.
What did you stick?
A lot of money.
How
I
much?
can't say how much. It's a lot of money.
How was it packaged? Was it in wrappers? Was it in a bag? Was it in a shoebox?
So I'm not saying it was just giving me money, just in rubber band.
Okay. denominations they were?
What you mean?
10s, 20s, 50s,
No,
100s?
no.
So giving him money in rubber bands could have been for any number of things, correct?
Yes,
Didn't have to be for a kilo,
yes,
right?
yes,
So you can't give this jury today under oath testimony that the money you saw exchanged was dollar for dollar value for a kilo at that time, correct?
I just know he gave him money and he came back with drugs.
Okay, you gave him money and came back with drugs.
Yes,
You saw him come back with drugs.
yes.
How much time was between the time he gave the money and when he came back for drugs?
I can't really say how much time, like.
Same day?
Yeah, the same day.
Okay. And then when the drugs arrived back in Cane Street, Mr. Walker must have trusted you a lot to let you see this.
Yeah,
Hmm?
yes,
Because usually people would be very secretive about if you were going to stash some pieces, not weight, but pieces in Perkins Street, correct?
yes,
Because you didn't want anybody to know what you were up to or what you had, right?
yes,
You're telling us that Mr. Walker's going to do multiple kilo deals in front of you.
yes,
And then he came back, Mr. Husband, at some unknown year, at some unknown time during a year with some amount of cocaine.
yes.
You can't say it was a kilo, can you?
I seen it.
You seen it?
Yes.
What did it look like?
It was a big, like, package wrapped in tape.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them?
Like, 4.
You've been in Mr. Walker's house, correct?
Yes,
You know what a digital scale is?
yes,
And correct me if I'm wrong, a digital scale is used to weigh sort of pieces or smaller weight, correct?
you can weigh what you want on there. Like, it all depends on the size of the scale.
Right, I understand that. Did you ever see a scale, well, in that photograph, when you saw of we need to bring it up, we can, the kitchen drawer, I think you said, of Mr. Walker's, well, of the kitchen drawer, 2722 Cane Street.
Mm.
Remember that picture?
Yes.
Need to see it again?
No,
You remember seeing anything in there like a scale big enough to weigh 2.2 pounds of cocaine?
no,
You never saw, sir, in your life, a scale at 2722 Cane Street big enough to weigh 2.2 pounds of cocaine, did you?
no,
You never saw stashes of money of 20s, 40s, 60s, 80s, $100,000 stashed or under the control of Mr. Walker, correct?
no,
Ever?
no.
Now, you said that Mr. Walker introduced crack cocaine, rock, powder, ready,
Yes,
to the Highland Garden.
yes,
That meant, according to Mr. Walker, was somebody who knew how to cook it.
yes,
You also, sir, knew how to cook it, didn't you?
yes,
So you didn't need Eddie Lee Walker to cook it, you knew how to cook it,
yes,
right?
yes,
So if you had powder for which you had sources, you could cook your own crack cocaine, couldn't you?
I could have if I wanted to, but I chose not to.
I understand you saying that, but you could, you had the knowledge.
Yes,
And I'm not a chemist, and I'm not a chemist, and I don't mean to, but it's not that complicated of a process, right?
no,
So if you have a microwave or a oven or something, and you have powdered cocaine and water and something else, you can make crack.
yes,
And you have.
no,
Never.
no,
Ever.
never, ever.
But you knew how to do it.
Yes,
And then you would say that Mr. Walker would cook for you, or cook.
it's cooked.
You would get some of it, pieces or weight or whatever.
Get the weight.
You'd get weight.
Yes,
But on every tape we've seen today, you never had weight.
I had
correct?
pieces. I bags it up.
Okay, so you got weight and broke it down into pieces.
Yes,
Wasn't it a constant theme, sir, on Perkins Street? A constant theme that when people came by there looking for weight, there was always pieces and never the kind of weight that people, especially the undercovers, were looking for.
no,
No?
not that I know of. I
Well,
know
on the videos
pieces.
we saw today,
All pieces.
all pieces.
Yes,
Weight was a problem, right?
yes,
Despite the fact that multiple kilos of cocaine are supposedly coming in from Corey Husband to him.
Yes.
Sir, you was dealing drugs for however many years, every day, right?
Yes.
How much would you make on a day? And I know it would vary. I know it would vary.
$1,000-2,000 if that's on a good day.
1 or 2,000 on a good day?
Yes.
Okay, and you worked 5-6 days a week?
Yeah.
So on a bad day, 500?
Yeah, probably something less than that.
So what would you say? 3,000 a week on the low end?
You probably could say that, yeah.
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
$150,000 a year,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you didn't pay taxes on, correct?
Yeah.
For 10 years, right?
Yes.
Where'd the money go?
Spending.
All that money.
Yeah.
On what?
Everything. Cars,
on?
clothes, going out, weed. Spending.
$150,000, give or take a year, untaxed profit, went out on clothes, weed, alcohol. You didn't own property, you didn't have a mortgage, correct?
I was living with my girl, paying rent,
Right.
paying for my stuff for
Okay,
my
how
kids
much
and
did you
stuff.
pay a month for rent?
I don't know. She asked for rent money, I just give her money. I don't know what she was paying at the most.
So you didn't have any fixed amount?
Yeah.
Have you ever, no, I'm going to withdraw. May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
You were arrested, sir, sometime after or around May 21st, 2009.
Yes.
If you were arrested on this case.
Yes.
Mr. Walker went away again in, I think, December of 2008.
Yes. He got locked back up.
Remember, he
Yeah.
went back to Delaware County?
Yes.
Or actually went upstate.
Yes.
During that period of time, things went on as usual in Highland Gardens, correct?
Yes.
So the guy who knows how to cook, the guy who introduces and supplies the whole garden with crack, is in a prison,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But you continue to be able to sell crack,
Yes.
right? Where'd you get it?
From Philly.
Went to Philly.
I didn't go to Philly. Somebody was going up Philly getting it.
Who?
Gary Harris.
Okay, so Gary Harris was going to Philly to get crack and bring it back.
Yes.
Isn't it so that other people were going outside of the garden during this entire time from 2003 to 2009 to wherever they could go to get crack to bring it back in?
No.
So it was only Gary Harris who knew to go to Philly in December of 2008 to get crack.
That's after Mohawk got locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was then supplying the entire appetite of the cutoff with crack cocaine from December to the end of May.
He wasn't getting it for everybody. It was certain people.
You?
Me, yeah.
Who else?
My brother,
Right?
Kareem.
How about Town?
Who? Town? No.
I'm sorry. You have another relative in this case, your brother, Craig Evans,
Yes.
right? Keep going.
Craig Evans, me. Sometimes Butch and
Fulton.
yes, and Kareem.
Okay. Who's the other relative in this case who I think is a cousin? Is that Towns?
No, Thomas.
Thomas, I apologize. Craig Andre Evans is your brother.
Yes.
Towns is your cousin.
Jones. Thomas
Oh,
Jones.
I apologize, sir.
Thomas Jones is my cousin.
All of you have made deals with the government, correct?
Yes.
And DJ, the juvenile, was not indicted in this case,
No.
correct? Can we bring up, with your permission, folks, Government Exhibit 310? I think that. Mr. Jones, in front of you is what's been marked as Government Exhibit 310. Okay? That was shown to you before the lunch break.
Yes.
And that, I tell you, if you need to flip through it, I can give you a copy. Well, why don't I? May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Jones, I'm going to give you a copy. You want to see the back of this thing? I'm going to give you a copy of, a hard copy of the plea agreement, okay? And then I'm going to try to find another one.
You want one? You want this one?
Thank you, Angela. Mr. Kelly.
Give it back.
All right. Look, I'm going to go through this in just a little bit more detail than the U.S. Attorney. Because now I want to talk to you about your exposure. You pled guilty. You were charged with 8 charges along with the conspiracy, correct?
Yes.
Some of which have been dismissed, correct?
Yes.
With the right for the government, under certain circumstances, to bring those charges back, correct?
Yes.
When you were arrested, you were detained. The government filed a motion saying that you were either a danger to the community or a flight risk, and asked a federal judge, federal magistrate to detain you, correct?
Yes.
And you were.
Yes.
And since that period of time, you have been getting credit, as you know, towards whatever sentence you may get under this plea agreement.
I don't know if I was getting credit, but
Well, but you haven't made bail because no bail was given,
yes.
not even a high bail.
Yeah.
By the way, you were shown a photograph of what you saw called a the playground or something behind 2722 Kane Street.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Remember seeing that photograph this morning?
Yes.
Do you know when that photograph was taken?
Do I know when it was taken?
Yeah, and that's an unfair question. Do you know at some point in time that playground was leveled?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was?
No.
Tell you what, sir, I have notes on mine. Can I just trade you? All right, page 1, as Ms. Taylor pointed out, talks about the charges that you have, okay? Or that you pled guilty to. The conspiracy count, correct?
Yes.
And some what we refer to as substantive count, meaning either sales or sales within 1,000 feet of a playground as that word is defined by law.
Yes.
Correct? All right. And then you are hoping, it is correct that Judge Bailson, you've entered a plea, correct?
Yes.
Your plea agreement with the government, if you need to flip to the last page, was signed by you and your lawyer on September 22nd, 2010. You see that at the bottom?
Yes.
You and Mr. Burroughs?
Yes.
Is that about right?
Yes.
As far as you recall? And you went through this with your lawyer because he's a competent and he's a good lawyer,
Yes.
correct? And at some point in time, then you appeared before Judge Bailson and entered your plea.
Yes.
Pursuant to the agreement you have with the government, with the United States Attorney's Office, your sentencing is deferred, meaning your sentencing is continued until your cooperation in this case and other cases that you may or may not be cooperating, correct?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you knew that unlike in Boyle Street where you've got no charges, you have serious exposure here, correct?
Yes.
And you know that a way to work yourself out of it, a little closer to Boyle Street, but not quite as good, is to cooperate with the government, correct?
Yes.
And you have an incentive, sir, don't you, to please the United States Attorney's Office?
Huh?
You have an incentive, you have a self-interest to please the United States Attorney's Office.
Yes.
And that incentive is that under the charges, by virtue of the charges and penalties, by virtue of the penalties that are imposed by federal law or imposed charges for which you have pled guilty. You could be sentenced, absent some intervention by the government, and then ultimately by the judge, to life in prison,
Yes.
the rest of your life in jail.
Yes.
And you know that even under a better case scenario, that without the intervention by the government, the judge has to sentence you to a minimum mandatory sentence of 20 years.
Yes.
That would make you, if you did all that time, about 47 and a half years old when you got out of jail.
Yes.
How's that prospect make you feel?
How that make me feel?
Yeah,
Going home at that age?
yeah. Make you feel good?
No.
You want to go home sooner rather than later, correct?
Yes.
And you will do whatever you need to do to ensure that that happens, correct?
I would tell the truth for that to happen. Yes.
Well, the truth under the plea agreement is a good faith determination by the government that you have told the truth, correct?
Yes.
Because on page 4, if we could, by the way, all your money's gone. All the money that you made is gone.
I ain't had no money.
All the money you made selling drugs is gone.
Yes.
Because in addition to a life sentence, possible life sentence, and a minimum mandatory of 20 years, the maximum fines that you could be given, if we go to page 8, is, look at that number. Tell the jury how much money you could be fined.
26,000?
A
Million?
little more.
Million?
All right. But quite frankly, money isn't the motivating factor now. Freedom is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you know under the plea agreement, in addition to cooperating, you have to be truthful about the disclosure of your assets.
Yes.
Have you been?
Yes.
It all went to weed and wine and whatever.
Yes.
On page 4, if we can go to page 4, paragraph K. I'm going to read paragraph K with you and ask you if you're aware of this. And I may just read something. Defendant agrees that if the government determines that the defendant has not provided full and truthful cooperation or has not provided full and truthful information about defendant's assets, income or financial status, or has committed any federal, state, or local crime between the date of this agreement and your sentencing, or has violated any provision of this agreement, the government may, at its option, the government's option, prosecute for any federal crime, including, and I'm paraphrasing, perjury, lying under oath, or lying on a material matter while under oath, correct?
Yes.
Obstruction of justice, and any of the other substantive offenses arising out of this case, arising from this investigation.
Yes.
Okay? That any of the dismissed counts, the 3 that are talked about being dismissed, can come back in against you.
Yes.
And most importantly, we've talked about motions. You'll see under page 5, subsection C, subsection C on paragraph K, page 5, decline to file any motion under United States Sentencing Guideline, section 5K1.1, 18 United States Code, section 3553E, or under the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rule 35. You see that?
Yes.
That's your life raft, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
That's where you hope to please the government enough that they will file these motions, allowing the judge, if he so desires, to sentence you below the guideline range of maximum of life, right?
Yes.
And also below the minimum mandatory sentence of 20.
Yes.
So your incentive to please the government is dictated in large part by the government having that sort of sword over your head, correct?
Yes.
On page 6, paragraph 6, on page 6, they already talked about that certain counts will be dismissed, but if things go sideways here, they can be reinstated.
Yes.
And then subparagraph 3 under paragraph 5 on page 6 says the government will move for departure from the sentencing guidelines pursuant to, and I'll abbreviate here, 5K 1.1, and for imposition of a sentence below any below any mandatory minimum term of imprisonment pursuant to United States Code, section 5351E, if the government, read that for me.
And it's, so the discretion determines that the defendant has provided complete and substantial assistance in the investigation or prosecution of any person who has committed any offense, including testifying at any trial or proceeding as required.
Let me, I'm not trying to cut you off. You can read whatever this reads. But that was reviewed with you by your lawyer and by the judge when you entered this plea, correct?
Yes.
And it means just that the government in its sole discretion, right?
Yes.
If they decide not to, as has been pointed out, for whatever reason, then the judge's ability to even consider going below the life imprisonment as a maximum and the 20-year minimum mandatory, you never even get there, correct?
Yeah.
Have you talked with your brother about your cooperation in this case?
I told him that I'm cooperating.
Did you talk to him about the substance of your cooperation?
What you mean?
About what you're going to say?
No.
Have you talked with your cousin?
I told him that I was cooperating.
Did they tell you they're cooperating?
Yes.
Were you all housed at the same facility?
Yes.
You all at the FDC?
Yes.
Federal Detention Center?
Yes.
Since your arrest?
Yes.
Are you in general population?
Yes.
You're not up on special housing unit or in the
No.
hole?
No.
So you have access to each other?
Yes.
And you do speak?
Yes.
Your family?
Yes.
Let me ask you this question. What would you do? Well, let me ask you this. When you dealt drugs, your motive and motivation was money, correct?
Yes.
And I understand that. Your motivation here today is your freedom, correct?
Yes.
And if we put money on one side and freedom on the other, you tell this jury, what's more important?
Freedom.
Thank you. Go ahead.
All right, we'll take a 10-minute mid-afternoon recess. Are the jurors, are you comfortable? Do you feel it's warm in here or too warm? What? You're okay? Or anybody feels too warm, raise your hand. I'll try and get it changed. No, you're okay? Okay. All right, 10-minute recess. Thank you. Please don't discuss the case. Let's go. Let me get a rough idea. Between the other four of you, do you plan to take the next hour till 4 o'clock, you think? Or
I think I may have trespassed on other people, Your Honor.
Well, no, they can have. How about you, Mr.
And I
Chairman?
probably have about
What?
10 minutes.
All right.
Not even, sir. I have probably more than 10 minutes.
About 10, 15.
All right. Who's the next witness?
Brenda Devon,
Is she, where is she?
civilian here.
She's ready? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so she should be prepared to get on the stand. All right.
She's ready.
All right, 10 minutes. Thank you.
No,